Now, you guys have heard me say over and over again that I'm not a particular fan of advanced textbooks, and that is still true. But this week, I decided to break my rules a little bit because we're going to be doing a review of a, I guess, pre-advanced textbook, upper intermediate textbook. I don't know what you want to call it, but you can call it whatever you want. Either way, this week we are reviewing Authentic Japanese, Progression from Intermediate to Advanced. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Chad. This week, we finally are back to physical, textile, textbook reviews. And this is kind of a cool, bittersweet moment because when I finally left my Japanese immersion language school in Japan, because they were just not moving at a fast enough pace and they were not allowing me to move up, the very first thing I did was I went on the website and I went down the entire list of every book that they use to teach Japanese, all the way to what they considered advanced. You can live and work in Japan and be good. Now, up until now, I have reviewed textbooks in one of two ways. The first way is it was a book I bought for myself, and whether or not I recommend it to you or you probably should skip it, you can check out my other Japanese resource reviews. The other way I do this is I have a link in the description down below to an Amazon wish list, and you guys are more than welcome to buy one of those for me. I can review it on the channel, and then I can ship it to you so you have the book anyways. A, you're supporting the channel. B, you get a textbook out of it. What more could you ask? However, this is the final textbook that I bought on that page. This is the final one that Genki used, at least at the time I left, about 2 years ago, before they basically don't have any more textbooks for you. I'm getting choked up. When I was compiling this week, I happened to go through this book, and I remember looking at this when I first bought it in Japan before I went back to America, and it was a tough read. And I look at it now, and it is actually below my level, which is, it's not a brag. It's me saying, hey, I worked freaking hard for a long time to be able to look at the reading sections of this and have them be easy. And when I show you here in a sec what these sections look like, you're gonna be like, holy crap, maybe that looks harder. Holy crap, Chad, that's easy. What are you getting choked up about? This is one of those moments, like I tell you guys, have milestones that you can look back and go, wow, look how far I've come. This is one of those books for me, and it being the last one that I would have learned at that school and it's below my level now is meaningful. It means a lot to me. So this week we're gonna go over this textbook. I cannot do it here adequately because you're not gonna be able to see the book. Yeah. So I will leave this for Table Chad to give his thoughts. Alrighty, we are back at our handy dandy review table with kind of a in-between level book, and you guys typically know my thoughts on these. If you are at advanced level, you probably could just do normal, like, everyday resources for Japanese people. That's my personal view, and I figure, I can't say that you shouldn't. I'm just saying I think it would be better bang for your buck to get native materials. However, if you are kind of in the breach of these two, which is technically the goal of this book, you know, assalamu alaikum. If you want to use it, feel free. But we're going to talk about this real quick. I will say up front, it is imperative that I tell you, because I had some comments on some of my other videos, I don't show the totality of the book because, you see these names here? These are people that work really hard to compile these books for us. And this here, the Japan Times people, the same people that do the Genki books, that do the integrated approach book, that do the dictionaries, the advanced and beginner and intermediate grammar dictionaries that everyone uses. That's these guys. I like to support them, and I would like you guys to actually pay for their content if you enjoyed this book. This obviously isn't sponsored by them. They don't even know I exist, I'm pretty dang sure. But I will show examples in their book, and I'll talk about the method the book uses, but I'm not gonna show the totality of the book because I feel like that kind of robs these guys of all their hard work. So, first things on the first page I have to warn you about, there are CDs, and you guys know the plan with the CDs, right? We break them, we throw them away. Who the hell has a CD player? They mean nothing to me personally, and they add no value to the book. However, it is Japan, and they do throw those in. So that's what these are. The CDs, however, really don't add that much. They pretty much just read aloud the work that's in here so you could hear it as well as read it. I've never really found a use for them other than just keeping them in the book to be slightly more mint condition. So I have a couple examples of good ways to use this book. We're actually going to start with page 1, And every unit basically has 3 sections. You're gonna have, before you do the reading, you're gonna have the actual trying out of the reading, and then you are going to have after the reading questions. The reason why this is kind of interesting is this book, unlike pretty much every textbook that we end up having, has no answer sheet. It has nothing for you to have a right answer because it's not looking for whether the Japanese was right necessarily. It wants you to use it, and it expects your teacher, your instructor, your language partner, your mentor and tutor to correct you. So as you can see, most of this has to do with either asking a partner about a topic or maybe you writing about a topic. And some of it does have an interactive right and wrong answer. Like this one's asking for what you view each of these words to be. Is it a good picture? Is it a bad mental picture when you see any of these words? And you can go over it with your teachers and instructors. However, there is no answer sheet for this. So whether it's good or bad really is up to your personal opinion. And you're gonna see in this book, that's 90% of how this works. You're now at a level, if you are here at this kind of pre-advanced level, you have the capacity to write and read correctly in Japanese. It's now teaching you to work on what we call the second level of text interpretation. And by I mean second level, I'm gonna close this real quick while I explain this. First level is the dog is outside. That's when you read the words on the page and that conveys the message there. The dog is outside the house. What's second level? Second level is analyzing everything around it and formulating opinions on it. So why is the dog outside? Is it playing outside with maybe my sister's dog? Is it in trouble? Did it pee in the house, so I stuck it outside? These are conclusions that we're having to draw outside of the words on the text by inference, by opinion, and it's not just the words on the page. So this thing is actually addressing that issue with people, trying to get them to express themselves, to be opinionated in the language, and to really take hold of the language. I'm almost kind of hard-pressed to call this a Japanese learning textbook because it is teaching you things about the Japanese language, how to write, how to pull second-level meanings, and if you guys are trying to be translators like I am, that's a really big deal. How to navigate through opinion pieces and how to share that, but it doesn't necessarily teach you Japanese, and you're gonna see that in how all these sections work. So I'll go back to the first section because that's the first one that I designed this to be. And you can see the very first things are almost always either you are going to be writing or speaking to people about your opinions on different topics. That tends to be these 2 sections. The next section has to do either with graphs or it'll ask you to do kind of a word thing where it wants you to describe stuff on its own. I love this book for a classroom setting or for tutorship. I am not a fan of this if you guys are solo studying because you really do need a native to work with this. And also, if you are looking to teach Japanese in the future at a college level, a high school level, this really is a good resource for future teachers because it gives you just some more practice and how to go with the theme of this chapter. And every chapter has a theme. I think the first theme is, self-introduction, Chiko Shokai. Yeah, cool. So that works. You go into what they call yonde miyo. So let's try and read this out. And the nice thing about this, and I want you guys to pause here, not pause the video, but just pause for reflection. Look at this page. This is not a beginner book. And the reason for that is because if you can see here at the bottom, they're pulling from stuff that is meant for Japanese people to read. This is native material. And this is also why I think when you get to upper, intermediate, low advanced, pre-advanced, or even advanced, whatever you want to call any of those levels, really you need to be working with native materials. Now this curates native materials. To be honest, you really could just do this work on your own. At this point, even if there's words you don't know, you have the ability to look them up. You can move and manipulate the language in a way that you could take ownership of. But the nice thing is after you are done reading these and you have to prove that you understand them, you got to confirm your understanding of the contents. And so this whole next section asks you about that in specific. It asks you questions about what you read, about just the chapter themes in general, usually depending on the unit. After you're done reading and you've done, the checks, like you're explaining what the meanings are, you're able to confirm that you have an understanding of the grammar and the words that are in there. This section, by the way, if you're a teacher, really, really good for helping to identify where your students are struggling. The next sections are always just kind of playful things that you talk. Like there's very few things in here that require writing. Most of this is discussion in a group or maybe one-on-one. And again, as you can see, Like, this is not beginner material. Let me tell you, if you're here right now, you're able to maybe pause the screen for a sec, kind of look over this page. If you can pull out most of this, like you could just read it, plus or minus maybe a couple stops, dude, you are freaking winning the game. Congratulations. You are doing so, so good. This is a part, again, I don't think it's super necessary, but you definitely can have it. Gives you some basic explanations of how to use grammar that you kind of encountered in here. Again, all of this, because this is the same people that made the dictionaries of Japanese grammar for the intermediate, beginner, and advanced, I would rather you buy these books, especially since I think these are only, yeah, they're like $35 at most, 28 for the beginner. They do better. They have way more examples, way better breakdowns of it. These aren't bad. It just gives you 2 ways to write it, to practice it. So it's better than nothing. They also have the same thing for vocabulary and just using more grammar. Just gives you some basic use for putting these in the blanks and making sure you can kind of comprehend what's going on. It's good work, and in fact, this book, if you guys were wondering, does come with a separate workbook, and it has a separate pullout for instructors and teachers that also has lots of vocabulary, no meanings, just what the word is and how to read it. And then you get to a point, let's get out of there, where they go into grammar, same type of thing. It just gives you, I mean, essentially what you get in the book, just without the blanks. Everything's filled in already. So this is good for teachers, for maybe if you're kind of self-correcting the grammar points, you could use this. You honestly could live without the workbook or that. Now, I have a couple examples brought in. As you guys can see, using this book isn't just reading passages. You're trying to do critical thought. You are looking at statistics. You are looking at charts and graphs, and you're trying to draw a conclusion from it using only Japanese. It's trying to engage that part of your brain that does second level analyzing. And it's a skill in a language that language doesn't teach you. Just because you can read the words on the page doesn't mean you know what the author's trying to convey. It's trying to get you to think deep and to use the text in a way that is different than you expect. And this is another example of reading in chapter 7, or I guess unit 7 as it says. You could see, this is girthy. This whole book just has an amazing amount of reading girth for what I'm typically used to textbooks having. Most textbooks might have that section, maybe that at the most, even N2 practice books. But look at this. I mean, this goes all the way through. Then you have a whole other section here that you have to read in different formats. They vary in how difficult they are. But again, none of these are made by this company. They are all native stuff taken from native either newspapers, research papers, books, and they're just curated based on their vocabulary and their topic to get you to understand what's going on. I understand what this book is for. This is not a self-learner book. This is not instructing Japanese. This is teaching you skills that you already have in your language and is trying to draw those skills out in Japanese. And for me, I understand why the school made this their last book, because at this point, you should be able to get word lists, or you should be able to just read a text, and if there's something you don't know, you can Google it in Japanese and get a Japanese definition and figure it out. You really don't, at this point, need English definitions. And I concur. I think the book serves a very valuable purpose for what it does. For $38, which I think is what I paid for this one, huh? Or $32, I should say. $32 for that. How much was the workbook with it? $18 for that. I bought both these in Japan. It's usually a little bit more on Amazon in the US. I liked what they were trying to do. I understand what they were trying to pull out. I've seen reviews for these where people are mad because they don't teach you English definitions, and they're not necessarily teaching you Japanese, like systematic Japanese. They're teaching you to use the language and to understand it. This stuff kind of removes that, and that's why I like physical books. I'm a huge fan of tactile things that I could hold. So if you are in a class, if you have maybe a language partner, a Japanese friend that's willing to talk to you, I would highly recommend using this book just to have some curated topics for like notebook taking or hanging out with your buddies. Let's say you're in Japan and you want to work on this stuff. Honestly, I like this book for that purpose. If you're trying to get into this as maybe a advanced textbook or something that's going to teach you something actually outside of what you could learn from native materials and dictionaries, I would say maybe keep looking. There's probably better resources. And this is such a cool feeling that I was able to look at these in a rear view mirror, to look back at them and see how scary this was to look at, 2 years ago, and how to look at it now and go, oh wow, why was I so scared of that? And to look at the bright future ahead of me. So I appreciate you guys. I hope this worked out for you. And back to Studio Chad. Well, welcome back. This is, I guess, the end screen. If you guys like this video, be sure to leave a like down below. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or compliments, leave them in the comment box down below. I do personally read all of them. If you guys would like, I actually opened up a few manga club tiers in the Patreon. You can get actual real Japanese books delivered to you every single month. Go there, check it out. It's available to, I think, 3 more slots, 3 more people. May the odds ever be in your favor, because it is always full and people are kind of rushing to get in. So I hope you get one of those 3 slots. Also, we will be back on Saturday. I was supposed to do the Pokemon live stream last Saturday. I was at the Ren Fair and some stuff happened. A friend got sick. Took me a little bit longer to get home than I anticipated, and I got home about 30 minutes after 9. So I missed the live stream. But we will be here live this Saturday, and if you're in Colorado and at the Renaissance Fair, I will be there again next Saturday. Come make me feel famous for like 2 seconds, because that was a really cool feeling. I actually met one of you guys there. So shout out to the Squire that knew me from YouTube. Ooh. All right, that's it, guys. Love hard, love deep. It was Father's Day, so be sure to call your parents. Even today, even though it's not Father's Day, I'm sure he would like to hear your voice. All right, have a good week, everybody. Bye-bye.